Welcome back to the Cleanup Academy on YouTube. My name is Jamie. I'm the head coach of the Cleanup Academy. Along with my business partner Joe, we run the Cleanup Academy focused on working with cleaning company owners from all over the world to help them to turn their cleaning company into a low-stress lifestyle business that can run without them while still making great profit. Today's video, I want to talk about breaking into the commercial market. This is something that a lot of people want to do. Perhaps you started out doing residential cleaning, but you've noticed that maybe commercial feels more scalable to you. Maybe commercial is a bit more interesting. Maybe it feels like that's where the money is. And you're looking at getting into the commercial market, but you don't really know where to start. You know, you've done some residential cleaning, you feel pretty comfortable with it, but commercial feels like a different animal. Working with businesses feels a bit daunting or a little bit scary. I want to get into that today, and I'm going to give you some very clear steps to break into the commercial market, some things to think about, some things to be aware of, and also a couple of strategies for picking up your first commercial clients. So let's just quickly, if you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you're not subscribed. In fact, the majority of people that watch videos on this channel aren't subscribed, but every time I ask, it seems that more people subscribe, so I'm going to keep asking. If you're a cleaning company owner that is looking to scale your cleaning business, but you want to turn it into a low-stress lifestyle business that doesn't need you to be there in order for it to run effectively and make great profit, then this channel is for you. This is exactly what we're going to be talking about on this channel in every single video. We're going to be talking about strategy, we're going to be talking about processes and systems and software and automation and ways that you can remove yourself from the day-to-day of your cleaning business, but still make sure that it runs really well and has happy staff and happy clients and everything else that you want it to be. So if that is the case, hit the subscribe button, but let's crack on with today's video. So let's really start at what is the difference between residential and commercial. Now, as the years have gone on in the cleaning industry, the gap between residential and commercial is closing considerably. For a long time, you would find that independent, self-employed cleaners would go out and they would have clients, and that's pretty much all that would happen. But you might get a few small residential cleaning companies that might have a few staff, but they wouldn't necessarily be using commercial-grade cleaning supplies and products, which we'll get into a little bit further on. They wouldn't necessarily be having systems and processes and checklists and making sure that they had safety data sheets for their chemicals, and they didn't necessarily have, hopefully the right insurances, but there are some companies that definitely didn't. And a lot of these things, when you get into the business world, this becomes a real necessity. But for a lot of companies, and maybe you're one of them, you've moved more into that space of providing those documents and those processes and making sure that we're running it like a really effective business. And often that was the big distinction between the way that residential and commercial operated behind the scenes. Mostly to do with how do we run the business? How much of a business does it feel like? But as information has become more free-flowing and as people have started to move into commercial and shared information with each other and helped each other along the way, residential has become a lot closer to commercial in previous years. So there's a good chance you're already doing many of the things that you would need to do. Small checklist of things. We want to make sure that we're providing a really great proposal document to commercial clients. That's something that's really important. Not just sending across a pricing, but some information about the business as well. We want to make sure that we're providing checklists, a specification sheet for what it is that we're going to be cleaning, when we're going to be cleaning it, and how we're going to be cleaning it, maybe even how often we're going to be cleaning it. We're also going to be looking at the chemicals that we use. And again, we'll touch on this in more detail a little bit later, but commercial grade cleaning chemicals rather than things that you would pick up in a supermarket or things that you would pick up and you would use at your home. We're also going to be looking at the documentation that we provide. Are we using method statements, risk assessments, right? Are we doing a risk assessment and then providing what's called a method statement to show that we have performed a risk assessment for the premises? Are we also then making sure that we've got safety data sheets for the chemicals that we're using? So if something happened and a chemical got in someone's eyes, or they accidentally drank some, or it got on their skin and caused a reaction, if we got the documentation to make sure that we know what to do in that circumstance. Those are some of the more basic things. Now, in regards to the service offering itself, the biggest difference between commercial and residential is the fact that we're not going to be cleaning in people's homes, but we're cleaning within people's commercial premises. Now, that premises could be any type of business. It could be an industrial type of business, manufacturing. It could be an office, it could be a co-working space, could be a school, could be a nursery, could be a pub or a restaurant or a nightclub. And I think something to bear in mind is that each one of those different types of commercial cleans have different requirements. There will be different things that are the main pain points that they struggle with in finding a cleaning company that can meet their needs. And a school clean is going to be very different to a pub or a restaurant clean, which is going to be very different than working in something more industrial, like a warehouse, or it's going to be very different compared to an office space, like for a recruitment company, for example. So we need to know what it is that we're getting ourselves into. For that reason, I would always recommend your first commercial clean starting off as something like a small office. That's always a great place to start because small offices don't require lots of cleaning, and there are many parts of that clean which are very, very similar to a residential clean. It's going to be a lot of changing bins. It's going to be a lot of cleaning desks and surfaces. It's going to be a lot of vacuuming and dusting and making sure that glass is clean, that there are no fingerprints on things, and wiping door handles and light switches, and all of the things that would be considered more high risk. So a great starting point are those small offices, and maybe you've been offered one or two in the past. Maybe that's something you're doing right now. Maybe you're doing mostly residential, but you've got a couple of small offices. It's a great place to start. Then as you're kind of looking at getting some larger offices, once you feel comfortable with the size of office you're cleaning at the moment. If you don't have any small offices at the moment, something that is always worth checking in on is, who are your residential customers? Who are they? They work somewhere, right? So where do they work? Do they need a cleaner? Have you approached your residential clients at the moment and let them know, actually, we've begun to offer some small commercial cleaning. We're looking for a couple of contracts. How's the cleaners at your workplace? Maybe one of your residential clients owns a business and they're actually, well, it'd be great to have the same cleaner across both my home and my business. So it's always a great place to start. If you're looking to get into commercial and you've got a decent sized residential clients, like a decent pool of them, being able to check in and see, well, actually, have I asked them if they need anyone? Have I asked them about their business requirements for their cleaning? Another option is to look at friends and family, or friends of family, or family of friends. Who do you know in your wider network? And often this is a great starting point. Cleaning, as we know, is incredibly trust-based. And for residential, people are always looking to purchase probably then and there. If they're looking at getting a cleaner, they're looking at getting started pretty quickly. But sometimes with a commercial lead, it can take quite a while for that to actually go through and for you to start that contract. So sometimes it can take a little bit of time. The great thing, one, about some of those smaller offices is they can come through a little bit quicker. And secondly, if it's a referral from somebody that you know, there's already built-in trust there. Because they've been referred, or because you've been referred to them by somebody that they trust. So you've already got that built-in trust. So there's more likelihood they're going to give you a shot and give you a go. Now, let's have a look at the commercial cleaning supplies, and let's have a look at kind of what we're looking at to start with. So what I've got here is, I've got up Jangro's website. Jangro are very, very well known. There's lots of different chemical supply companies out there, cleaning agents and equipment and all sorts of stuff, but Jangro is a great one to start with. They create great products, pretty cost effective and reasonable as well, but you're going to be looking at something that's more kind of commercial grade. And what I mean by that is, we're not going to be looking at your typical bleaches or your typical cream cleaners or necessarily, I mean, maybe air fresheners, but not necessarily polishes. You're looking at more disinfectants, antibacterial sprays. You're looking at things like that. So you can see here, we've got way more commercial-based disinfectants, 5-litre canisters. They're great. They can be decanted into some of these smaller spray bottles. This is a great thing to have on a commercial site. One of the other differences when it comes to the cleaning supplies on your commercial site is they're often going to be kept on the premises. So often with residential cleans, you'll have the cleaner that drives or they have their own transport, and they will take their cleaning supplies to the customer's house. The great thing about commercial is the supplies are going to be on the premises. So you can have new supplies delivered every single month and take some of the old ones away. But fundamentally, that cleaner can get to the clean however they like because they don't need to go and have their own car. Driving can be very expensive. So this is a great way of doing it. Having the cleaning supplies on the site is a great way of doing it. It means that it's there, it's always accessible. So this is the kind of cleaning supplies we're going to be looking at, this sort of commercial grade. So if you're not sure where to go, Jangro is a great place to go. You'll find that there are going to be local businesses that sell a whole bunch of different products. So maybe have a look at local suppliers, especially if that's something that's important to you, to support local businesses in your area, or get in touch with other cleaning companies, other commercial cleaning companies. and see who they use. Ask those questions. Join a community, right? That's kind of what the Cleanup Academy is all about. A community of cleaning company owners that there's peer-to-peer masterminds and lots of people asking and answering questions. And myself and Joe provide support and training and guidance. And there's weekly coaching sessions and all sorts of stuff. But finding other cleaning companies that you can ask and see what they use, tremendous benefit. We all benefit if we share information, and as an industry we rise up. So, there's a great expression, a rising tide lifts all ships. The more information we share, the more we all benefit from it. So this is one part of it. Now, another part that I mentioned earlier was looking at risk assessments. Now, that might sound really scary if you've never done one before, but it's very straightforward. A risk assessment is pretty much as the name describes. It's assessing the risks of being on the commercial premises. So it's understanding that, if you've got stairs, for example, you don't want to leave the Henry cable or the vacuum cable blown across the stairs because somebody might trip and fall. It's also understanding lone working. If someone's there in an office on their own, what measures have you put in place in case something happens? They have an emergency number that they can call, for example. So that's a great thing to have as well. So if you go onto the HSE website, this is for UK companies specifically, but regardless of the country you're in, you will find something akin to this, mostly probably on your government website. You can Google that and you can find it. But here, for example, the HSE website will give you all the information you need about risk assessments and managing risk at work. What they'll also do is they'll give you a template. So risk assessment template and examples. If we click on this one, we can see that we can download a risk assessment over here. And these are really good. But it does say here, look, there's different office-based business, for example, and we're not going to click on these, for example, but we can take one of these templates. What it does say here is don't just copy an example, put your company name to it. It's not going to satisfy the law, protect your employees. You need to think about the specific hazards and controls your business needs. So that's why we're going to talk about things like we said about the vacuum cable going across the stairs, or if we're cleaning at a pub or a restaurant, broken glass might be a risk. So we're going to look at broken glass and we're going to add it onto our risk assessment. This is where making sure talking about lone working policy. So as long as we're adapting it to our business and you can show that you have assessed the risks, we've got a legal requirement to assess the risk and we've got a legal requirement to document it. So think of it like this. The risk assessment is the physical act of you going to the premises and looking at all the risks and kind of thinking, okay, this is what it is. Then we've got what's sometimes called our RAMs, you might have heard of that expression before, or our method statement, which is how we document our risk assessment. Now, there isn't any legal requirement for how we do that, but you may as well use the HSE template or guideline, and this honestly works regardless of the country that you're in. This template is a great one. So this is a really good template to use. If you're looking to get into commercial, I know that this can feel daunting, but don't be put off by it. It really isn't as scary as it sounds. So we've covered a little bit about how we find our first kind of commercial accounts. We can also use all of the same channels we would for our residential cleaning. You might want to update your website and have a services page for commercial, or a couple of landing pages for offices or pubs and restaurants or whatever it is. But start off small. Do something just to test it, to feel comfortable. That's going to give you the confidence to then push into some of those bigger commercial sites as well. So I hope that's been helpful. We've covered how to find commercial accounts. We've covered some of the checklist of things you're going to need. We've covered the differences in cleaning commercial sites and residential sites. We've also covered risk assessments. We've covered cleaning supplies. But look, if you've got any questions or anything, drop it into the comments. Happy to answer anything that you've got. If you're interested in finding out more about how you can move into the commercial sector, then click on the link in the description. As I mentioned, I run the Cleanup Academy. I'm the head coach of the Cleanup Academy, along with my business partner, Joe. And we help cleaning companies all the time that have been mostly residential, but they see potential in the commercial market. They want to push into it. We've helped so many cleaning companies to do that. In fact, you can head to our YouTube channel and you'll see loads of video testimonials of cleaning company owners just like you that have gone from residential cleaning into the commercial market. They're absolutely killing it. They're cleaning up, pun absolutely intended. They're cleaning up and having an amazing time doing it. So if that's something you're interested in, check out the link in the description. Have a look at the Cleanup Academy website. You can have a chat. You can jump in for a free month. Check it out. Have a look. But yeah, absolutely. Commercial is a great place to look into. Now, just be aware, it can add a little bit of complexity if you're running both residential and commercial. But the commercial market isn't as scary as it sounds, I promise you. And there's so much potential there and so much scalability. Thanks so much. I'll catch you in the next one.